Mongolia. A remote wilderness locked in Asia's heartland. Trapped on a mountain plateau between the Himalayas and Siberia. Mongolia is a kingdom above the clouds. Every season in this vast and windswept landscape brings challenges that only the most adaptable and intrepid creatures can overcome. This is a country where determination is a necessity. And survival is never guaranteed. The Altai mountain range, a jagged scar running the length of Mongolia's western corner, a divider between this nation and all those beyond. These mountains are unexplored, unforgiving, and wildly unpredictable. But here, a few amazing animals continue to exist against the odds, becoming masters of adaptation. The punishing climate has forced the wildlife of the Altai Mountains to be tougher than most. For Mongolia's creatures, existing in the Altai is brutal, and survival is nothing short of extraordinary. Mongolia's Altai Mountains are a hostile habitat for any animal, humans included. But the local people here have an unusual ally. These mountains are home to Mongolia's eagle hunters. Harnessing the hunting prowess of golden eagles has made life possible for people in these mountains. This is a falconry tradition dating back almost 6,000 years, originating from ancient Kazakh techniques. For centuries, golden eagles have provided the nomadic community with food during the frigid winter months. This female is Argali, meaning white hail, and she's as wild and unruly as her name might suggest. She was taken from the wild as a chick and raised by a single handler. Despite being domesticated, her natural instincts run strong, and she will be a formidable hunter. Only females are selected, as they are larger and more successful hunters than their male counterparts. Each eagle is paired exclusively to one hunter. She will only answer to his voice. Today, she is being trained to catch moving prey. There's nothing stopping her leaving, but life with humans is mutually beneficial. A lure made from fox pelts is trailed along the ground. The movement and calls made by the bakucha are meant to stimulate Argal's inner killer. Despite her hunting abilities, catching prey is still a challenge, and in the wild, golden eagles have a success rate of just 20%. A perfect takeoff, but she's misjudged the distance. She's young and impatient and gives up easily. But the appeal to attack a moving target is just too irresistible for this natural-born hunter. And this time, she is right on track. She reaches out to the lure with her talons extended. On a fake fox, her tenacious grip is an inconvenience for her patient handler. He uses dinner as a distraction. She's done well, but a real fox will be a lot faster and very unpredictable. But there's plenty of time to perfect her craft. She'll spend a few more years with nomads before she's encouraged to rejoin the wild. By then, she will be sexually mature and more than ready to hunt for herself alone. The bond between eagle and handler is so strong that when this day comes, he will have to hide to stop her from following him home. While these eagles may be trained, they will certainly never be tamed. This is a sentiment echoed in the environment. The Altai Mountains are the product of a continental collision between Asia and India. Over 350 million years in the making. The same forces that built the Altai are also responsible for the Himalayas. Foundations aren't the only thing these mountain ranges have in common. Mongolia's punishing climate has been wearing down these mountains ever since their creation. One day, they'll flatten them. The process isn't always gentle. Landslides and rockfalls in the Altai are common. Wind, rain and ice work against the Altai's mountainsides, finding weaknesses and tearing them apart. Most of these hills are made up of granite, a rock forged under incredible temperatures and pressures. These are some of the hardest and heaviest on Earth. They rain down the hillsides of the Altai Mountains, destroying anything and everything in their path. As the dust settles, the mountains fall silent again. But the creatures of the Altai never drop their guard. Life in these mountains is anything but predictable. Winter is slowly settling on the high peaks of the Altai Mountains. Despite the unforgiving terrain, for Argali sheep, this is no cause for concern. They move seasonally between the higher and lower altitudes of the Altai Mountains, roaming up to 20 kilometers each day. They are built for a hard life of endless movement. With the males standing at over a meter and weighing more than twice the average man, these are the biggest wild sheep in the world. This heft is put to good use at this time of year. It's the rutting season for these heavyweight warriors. Females trail a seductive scent, indicating their readiness to mate. For the males, this aroma fuels an insatiable urge. A series of battles determines who will have the right to mating privileges with the females. First, they measure each other up, an Argali sheep version of weighing in. And then they're ready for the real test. The fight is on. Horns weighing over 20 kilos clash with a force 8 times the strength needed to crush a human skull. This intense combat would be enough to give most animals brain damage. The sound echoes for several kilometers around the Altai mountains. The losers are chased down the hillside. They've lost their shot at mating this year. For the winners, the females are primed and waiting. While the Argali sheep are given away by the sound of horns locking, hidden in the fractured rock face of Asia's mountains, one silent creature blends in with the background. These big cats are one of the rarest in the world. But the cliffs of the Altai mountain range are one of their strongholds, home to over 1,000 of these elusive animals. Snow leopards are an iconic species throughout Asia's mountains, occupying nearly 2 million square kilometers across 12 countries. They live solitary lives, roaming home territories as large as 500 square kilometers. But this female isn't alone. At 1 year old, her cub is nearly as big as her, but is still very dependent on his mother for food. Prey is increasingly hard to come by in these hills. The pair haven't eaten in days. The pressure to provide is mounting. Nearly 30% of cubs won't make it to adulthood. But like every animal here, this snow leopard was born to raise survivors. She's a skilled hunter, able to kill prey up to 3 times her own weight. And she's willing to take risks. Leaving him alone at the den, she sets out in search of food. She might be gone for a couple of days. The snow leopard is perfectly adapted to this treacherous environment. At almost a meter long, her thick tail aids her in balancing on the perilous rock face. Long hind legs and shorter forelimbs allow for greater agility. And huge paws help her navigate patches of snow and ice, as well as grip onto ledges. she scales the rock face with ease, covering huge distances in a matter of hours. Back at the den, her cub is getting to grips with the principles of hunting. It will be a little while before he's as good as his mother. But this play is essential in honing his skills. After the winter, he will become fully independent. And he'll need to aim a lot higher than a magpie. It's not just the cub that relies on a successful hunt. There are other creatures here who are always eager to inherit leftovers. The cinereous vulture is one of the largest birds of prey in the world. It's arguably also one of the ugliest. These brutish birds weigh up to 14 kilos. The ones found in Asia are 10% bigger than their European counterparts. Normally solitary creatures, they've congregated together today to fight over a carcass. It seems beggars can't be choosers in the Altai, and here, nearly everyone's a beggar. But the cinereous vulture is boss of them all. They dominate the scene, hissing and grunting to assert their claim over the rotting meat. This posturing is unusual in vultures. They bend low and lift specialized breast feathers. They are nothing short of bird bullies. Cinereous vultures are carrion specialists, so unfortunately these kinds of meets and greets are pretty common. They have no need for table manners. When they finally get close to the food, they tear up the carrion with powerful beaks. They're strong birds, able to break ribs to get to the meat inside. It's a grisly end to an already hard life in the Altai. In Mongolia's Altai Mountains, a formidable creature patrols her territory from the sky. The golden eagle is a majestic raptor. This species has conquered over 3 continents and has one of the biggest ranges of any eagle in the world. Across the globe, their overall abilities in flight are unparalleled by any other eagle. Able to dive at speeds over 300 kilometers an hour, this bird is the second fastest flyer in the world and a silent killer. She looks for prey on the wing. She'll go for anything as small as a gerbil or as big as a fox, attacking from above at breakneck speed. They'll never see it coming. For one cautious creature in the foothills, the prospect of meeting a golden eagle is a waking nightmare. The Pallas's pika is an inauspicious inhabitant of the Altai Mountains. On first glance, the pika looks very much like their close relative, the rabbit. But unlike their more cumbersome cousins, pika only weigh as much as a hamster. A perfect snack for an aerial assassin. These skittish creatures can be seen dotted around the sun-facing slopes all day, emerging at dawn and disappearing again at dusk. In the middle of the day, a young pika will sit basking like this for hours. With their dark, sandy camouflage fur, it would be easy to mistake one for a rock. Movement is their main giveaway, so they try and keep it to a minimum out here in the open. But it's not always an option. Pika don't hibernate over winter, and as the cold weather approaches, their main food source is dying back. Collecting grass in late November means running the gauntlet. The golden eagle's eyesight is 5 times better than a human's, making a pika only the size of a pebble, easy pickings from over 1 kilometer away. He'll have to risk his life if he wants to eat well. But luckily, he has reliable neighbors. Gerbils. In this little corner of the Altai, pika and gerbils seem to live harmoniously, even sharing resources. But this isn't totally selfless sharing. There is an advantage to teaming up. The threat of a predator initiates a 2-part alarm system. As well as whistles, gerbils stamp their feet to warn anyone underground that danger is near. This isn't a behavior that pikas have picked up, but they almost certainly know what it means. If his neighbors are relaxed, it's all the assurance this male needs to summon the courage. Roots and tubers are worth the effort of excavating. They're rich in nutrients and saturated with water. A rare commodity in these parts. Digging is a distraction, so he moves quickly. Once he finds what he's looking for, he runs back to the safety of his burrow and quickly wolfs down his meal. He always eats near the burrow entrance, ready to dive inside in the event of danger. It doesn't pay to take more risks than necessary around here. She's a sniper, honing in on a target. Mongolia's Altai Mountains run like a fracture along the country's western edge. The jagged mountain ridges take their name from the local language, meaning golden. For thousands of years, the Earth has been trying to return these peaks to the ground. Even hard granite can't avoid the grip of nature. Orange and grey lichens sprawl across the rock surfaces. They are indicators of clean air, rich in oxygen. These aren't actually plants, but algae and fungi working symbiotically. Over 1,000 different types thrive in Mongolia, but these innocuous little organisms are actually parasites. The lichen is not decorating these rocks, it's digesting them. They leave behind small traces of soil, which provides an anchor for roots and nutrients for plants. They are pioneer organisms in a hostile habitat, and no matter how overlooked, they will one day help level these mountains. nature here is certainly determined. It has to be. In the Altai Mountains, if the conditions of life are harsh, then the realities of life after death are no improvement. This Corsac fox could have died from exposure just as easily as an attack from another predator. Even their thick fur can't make them immune to nightly temperatures as low as -20. Death is a common occurrence in these hills. But for wildlife, this is no tragedy. In fact, death is a banquet not to be missed. A much larger carcass, just a few kilometers away, has attracted visitors. The first to appear at the scene are nearly always magpies. They are nature's morticians. Across the world, these birds hold an almost mythical status. Their presence is steeped in superstition. In the West, magpies are often considered a bad omen, but in Mongolia, they are seen as having control over the weather and are revered as wise creatures. And at least in one respect, Mongolia has the magpie accurately sussed. They are incredibly intelligent and curious creatures, known to use tools and the only animal other than mammals to be able to recognize itself in a mirror. They are certainly smart enough not to miss an opportunity. If no one else comes to claim the carcass, they will eat until only bones are left. A few days later, and it's no longer possible to tell what this poor animal once was. But it's not just dead creatures these cunning birds will pick on. Red foxes are just as wily as magpies and can be found all over these mountains. Red foxes compete with magpies for scraps of carrion, so it's no wonder they're not on friendly terms. Red foxes are one of the most widely distributed mammals in the world, able to adapt to a diverse range of habitats. But that doesn't mean they're immune to the challenges of life in the Altai. At this time of year, their coats are extremely thick to protect them from the biting temperatures. Lifting her nose into the air, she tries to catch the scent of nearby prey on the breeze. But it's not her strongest sense. Red foxes have incredible hearing. Unlike many animals, they can even hear their prey digging underground. A necessary survival skill in these hills. Mongolia's Altai Mountains are home to shrinking glaciers as temperatures in the region increase every year. But vast sheets of ice once dominated this landscape and even created some of the biggest floods known to history. floods of biblical proportions occurred at the end of the last ice age that spilled out as far as the Caspian Sea, over 3,000 kilometers away. They were caused by glaciers and meltwater overspilling and changed the landscape of the western Altai region. Rivers and streams have been carving their way down the mountains for millions of years. Though not quite as extreme today as they once were, as winter subsides, the canyons and crevices in the foothills of the Altai come alive. These mountains are the source of two major rivers, which flow downstream and weave their way across the continent. They are the lifeblood of the Altai, and the only place where trees can grow. The Altai Mountains are home to several species of tree. Poplars, willows, larch, and even elm grow in sporadic patches where they can. Trees cover the Altai's western slopes in Russia. But on Mongolia's eastern foothills, trees are so seldom seen that even stark branches are a rare and sacred sight. It's easy to see why these new buds are a sign of hope and regeneration. Further down the mountains, the volume of water descending from the slopes increases and spills out into wide, shallow streams. The Altai Mountains traverse a border between multiple countries. Their waters are no different. Across the country, high plateau lakes offer sanctuary to migrating birds. Some of them are among the oldest on Earth. As rainfall in Mongolia is so low, most lakes entirely depend on the mountain glaciers that feed them. The meltwater carries nutrient-rich sediment down from the mountains, feeding the lush vegetation. The water's banks come alive with plants and flowers. With the warmer weather, migrant birds who have spent the winter in southern China return here to the mountains to capitalize on the sudden oasis. Stone chats are industrious little animals. They're insect hunters and thrive off the sudden burst of life. In fact, their prey is so abundant, they'll be able to raise several clutches of chicks this season. But it'll be an exhausting few months. The chicks' appetites are insatiable. Catching food is a relentless task for these diligent parents. The nest is an unwoven cup of grass. It's nothing fancy, but it's perfect for this little brood. They'll stay here for 2 weeks until they're ready to fledge. Across Mongolia, creatures of all kinds must work quickly to capitalize on the short summer season. One of the richest wetlands is found in Inner Mongolia. In the local language, these wetlands are known as Swan Lake, a gesture of deference to their elegant seasonal visitors. These nutrient-rich waters attract a whole host of wading birds and waterfowl, migrating here from the four corners of Asia. But it's not just food they're after. For whooper swans, the lush grass is ideal for nesting. In fact, this glacial lake is such a treasure trove that over 20,000 swans are thought to visit these waters. But as these waters are no secret, the popularity of the lake makes things a little cramped, and finding a spot can be tricky. As soon as couples arrive, they need to stake a claim on a nesting patch. There's no beach towel policy here. Swans will get aggressive to defend their chosen spot. With only a few exceptions, swans mate for life. This pair reunite every breeding season. And they are already experienced parents. Cygnets are able to leave the nest only 48 hours after hatching. But these little fluffballs are very vulnerable. So Mum and Dad will look after them for another 3 months before they're ready to migrate to their winter grounds. Almost all of the Altai's creatures descend to the lakeside in the summer season. In Mongolia's barren landscape, these waters are a welcome lifeline. As summer approaches, Argali sheep shed their winter coats and their wool takes on a darker appearance to match their surroundings. It's this time of year that they're able to wander further for food, as Mongolia's Altai hillsides burst into life with delicious plants. It's a seasonal boon, and the Argali waste no time in making the most of it. Living up to the stereotype, they follow each other, traversing across the Altai's rolling plains, grazing sporadically, constantly on the move. Sticking together is also a safety technique. Predators prefer to attack a lone animal. When an Argali sheep is on its own, it often stands motionless in the hope that a hunter might overlook them. But unfortunately, their greatest predators are humans, and not even for their meat. Argali sheep are regularly hunted for sport. Their impressive horns make them a desirable trophy target. It's a sad predicament for iconic animals all over the world. And it wasn't so long ago that Argali sheep shared this in common with almost every other mammal in the mountains. However bleak the picture might be for the permanent residents of Mongolia, creatures on the wing fare much better. Mongolia is a destination for many migratory birds. Demoiselle cranes are the ultimate traveler. At this time of year, They are readying themselves to fly from their wintering grounds in India all the way to their breeding grounds in Mongolia, over 3,000 kilometers away. This is no light-hearted undertaking. The journey will be grueling, sometimes taking a month to complete, and many will die on the way. But they have a few things in their favor. They are the lightest of all cranes, able to fly vast distances without landing to rest or feed. With a wingspan over 1.5 meters wide, they catch updrafts and use thermals to their advantage. They can average over 300 kilometers a day in good conditions. But there's no question that this will be challenging. They must scale the world's highest obstacles. Mountains. Demoiselle cranes reach elevations of up to 8,000 meters in order to cross the Himalayas. But for those that make it, Mongolia is worth the journey. These remote and pristine lakes give the demoiselle crane the perfect habitat to breed. It's partly to the credit of Mongolia's waters that the population of demoiselle cranes is now increasing. Mongolia is a nation of nomads. The desolate landscapes and scarce resources mean the only way to survive here is to keep on the move. Mongolian people spend their life in the saddle and move with their livestock. Camels, goats, yaks, and even sheep. At the turn of every season, they must move to a new pasture, often returning to the same sites their relatives have used for generations. Their link to nature is undeniable, and nothing represents this better than an age-old tradition born in the Altai Mountains. Throat singing. Also known as humi, the Mongolian word for throat. This guttural song is one of the world's oldest forms of music. Across the vast and empty steppe, and from the echoing gullies of the Altai mountain range, Mongolia's very landscape is a spectacular stage for their sounds. 3 different indigenous cultures hold a claim to this ancient tradition, shared across an intersection of their territories here in the Altai. Their music is an ode to nature and a message of gratitude to their gods. The gallop of a horse, the flow of a river, and the chattering tones of birdsong. all serve as inspiration for their songs. Hassan Ding has been singing since the age of 7. It's an art that requires as much dedication and practice as opera singing. Throat singers are often accompanied by an equally ancient instrument called a horse-head fiddle, or morin khur. Just like throat singing, it's also closely linked to nature and is used to this day to tame horses. The Mongols' relationship with nature is as powerful today as it has ever been, and is an integral part of their culture and traditions. If Mongolia is a country above the clouds, then the peaks of the sun-soaked Altai Mountains touch the sky. Between their golden summits and the rolling foothills, the wildlife that call these mountains home are no strangers to adversity. Exposed to the elements, living off what little they have, here the odds of survival are not just stacked against animals. Even plants must cling to opportunity in order to exist. But in these mountains, only those who dare win. The Altai has been a stadium for epic battles, hunting grounds for elusive predators, the start of a journey for some, and the ending for others. From the bold and the brave to the seldom seen creatures of cunning, wildlife in Mongolia's Altai Mountains defy the limits of life in Asia's harshest heartland.